Hi, everyone. I want to welcome somebody very special who's had a very unique experience. I have to say, it is one of the most unique experiences I've ever heard, and one of the most profound. This is Robert, and he is here to tell you about this phenomenal story that is true with a dogman. And it isn't just an encounter. It's an extraordinary event that I think is so unique because Robert raised a dogman, and his name was Rascal. And he's going to talk all about his experiences with this incredible account. Robert, welcome.
Hey,
I can see that this is hitting some deep
yeah.
places. Yeah.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Robert. I live in Western Kentucky. Been in Western Kentucky all of my life. My,
I just want to interrupt here for a second,
yeah,
Robert, just to give people a little bit of an idea because they don't know what you've experienced. So they're not, I just want to just let them know that it's hitting you really hard
yeah,
because your experience was so phenomenal, and also because of what happened to Rascal.
yeah,
And that, we all know that losing something dear to us is really, really rough.
yeah,
So that's kind of why Robert is so affected at the very beginning of talking about this, because I could say that having experienced what you experienced, which you're going to tell everybody about, is just not something that
no,
it's just like such a rare thing. It's such an incredibly rare
yeah,
thing. So please tell your story.
okay. Ladies and gentlemen, me and my family raised a type 2 dog man. My grandfather and my father served in the military. My grandfather served all the way through World War II, and he was badly wounded in the Battle of Okinawa. He was an air ops officer aboard an escort carrier. And he was in the reserves until 1978. My father served in Nam for 2 terms. My father and my grandfather were both highly decorated. My father and his best friend, who was a one-star general, and I'm not going to give out their names. Uh, when they got out of Nam, they were approached by the base commander about a special canine unit. And they accepted, which I will go into later on towards the end, what happened to Rascal's parents. But right off the bat, they were ordered to process Rascal's mother and the pups. Now, when they were processing the pups, my dad and his best friend said, "Hey, we're going to surprise Robert because he's been in a real deep depression." So they did. They put him in a little knapsack with clothes and stuff stuffed in there. Rascal, when they brought home, they didn't think he was going to survive because he is seriously sick. My family was basically my dad, my grandfather, my dad's girlfriend Rosie, who I considered my mom, and her daughter Tracy, who I considered my sister, and my girlfriend Amanda. My sister and Amanda worked at the veterinarian clinic. When they brought Rascal home, I saw this knapsack, little old squirming knapsack on the and I don't know how they got him past the guards. I don't know, but
Do
they
you think?
did.
Do you think was Rascal and all the puppies sick?
Just Rascal, because he was the run of the bunch.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know
And
the,
when you say processing, you mean kill.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought Rascal home to me, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I turned and looked at him. Back legs were like regular dog hogs and all that. And I started going up and along. Ooh, wait a minute, this is a little bit different here. Because his skin was charcoal gray,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
light charcoal gray. My girlfriend's looking and she was just astonished. He couldn't open his eyes yet because he's only 3 days old. He was sick and he was dying. We brought him back to life by giving him baby formula.
Mm-hmm.
They were pumping him up full of antibiotics and everything. First off, and he had these little raccoon type hands. When he flicks his fingers, I noticed his claws were going in and out like a cat's, retractable. I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So we started giving him antibiotics, and he started taking it real well. Started drinking water. I said, oh, okay, we're gonna keep on going, keep on going. We're gonna make sure this little guy lives. And pretty soon he started growing. And the scribe rascal, he his mane was black, and he had a huge bushy like tail. His mane went all the way down his back and all the way across his shoulders like a lion's mane, and all the way down to the stomach and stuff. Now his hair was very soft, almost like fur, but not quite. When he first opened up his eyes in 6 weeks, his eyes were a clear cobalt blue, real beautiful. I mean, he was the ugliest little thing you ever did see, but he was cute to me. And I named him Rascal because that's what he looked like. So, so he started growing. He started filling out, and within 6 weeks, 6, 7 weeks, he was able to walk bipedal. Now, my grandfather said for the usual dog men out in the wild, it takes them 6 months to a year to walk bipedal. I think what helped Rascal was all the vitamins and antibiotics my sister and Amanda were giving him.
Your grandfather seems to know a lot about
He did.
Dogman.
He
Mm-hmm.
knew a lot about all
Mm-hmm.
of these cryptids. through, I'm saying through the certain government programs that he went through.
So he
He
was
was a Navy, he was
involved.
a Navy man.
Hmm.
He was badly wounded in Okinawa, and he was decorated.
So he was involved with secret secret projects in the
Yeah,
military. Yeah. And
yeah,
why do you think they wanted to kill um the litter? And what was it, the litter and the mother?
yeah. Because
Why?
the father sacrificed himself because in one of these underground lairs or whatever they were, two or three of these 20-foot Bigfoot broke out of their cages, and the handlers couldn't handle them. And Rascal's father sacrificed himself. To save the others.
So when you say sacrificed himself, what did he do?
My father told me he went all out against those Bigfoot, so the guards and everything could get out.
Wow. Okay. And
And of
they had
course,
how many Bigfoot there?
about three. The Dogman killed,
Mhm.
Rascal's father killed two of them, badly wounded the third one before he was killed. And
And I
one of the guards took his 45 out and took out the last Bigfoot.
Mhm. And they're trying to utilize Dogman and Bigfoot for military purposes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're
Like,
finding out that my father, grandfather told me Bigfoot are can are cannibals.
hmm
Too ain't black. They don't have the intelligence that they're looking for. They're totally violent and they hate people,
hmm
which I believe that.
So
And
they
I've
would
seen it myself.
so
So,
they wouldn't make well I just want to do a disclaimer here because I do know that there are I've had my own experience with
uh-huh.
Sasquatch, and they were not violent at all. They were
Yeah.
actually incredible. So I don't think they're all like that. I think there's
Oh,
different types,
yeah.
and but I don't think they make for I don't think they're very easy for the military to use.
No,
And I don't think they're easy to train or anything like that.
no.
So it's, yeah, and I know that the government is going into these
They're
deep woods,
they're into
collecting
the
them.
super soldier program. That's what
Yeah,
basically where Rascal came from.
yeah.
They said in certain cases, especially with type 1 and type 2 dog men that are being used in the military because they have human intelligence, which I believe, and they're telepathic,
Hmm.
which makes them easier to communicate with
Hmm.
and easier to train.
Hmm. Right. So then dogmen for the military, they're finding more success being able to utilize them. I'm
Yes.
totally against them doing anything to
Yeah,
anything.
that I totally am too.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, but the Sasquatch is not easy for them to utilize.
No, they're
Yeah.
more. Here's, and I'm going to get into this. I'm going to start how Rascal, function around my family.
Hmm.
Me, he was with me constantly. Now, my grandfather always liked to brush his teeth and manicure his claws. That was something else. Always after dinner. Rascal always had his place for dinner with us. Because me and Rascal, we sat at the end of the table and stuff.
Hmm.
Everybody else is all the way around. Now, my dad, he would always go out with dad, and they would, their thing was more or less uh, working out in the fields,
Hmm.
cornfields, clearing brush out and everything else in the backyard. My grandfather, a little bit more Frasco, he would be commercial fishing because he'd be fixing these huge fish nets, 20, 30-foot fish nets.
Hmm.
Rascal would hold up the hoops while Grandpa would thread the
Mm-hmm.
fuse through them. Now, with Mama Rosie, Teresa, and Amanda, this is totally different. He would be laying there. They would be on the couch. He'd be laying there right across them. They would be like playing with his ears
Mm-hmm.
and keeping him well groomed.
Mm-hmm.
But in the mornings when they go jogging, we have that in our 400 to 500 acre homestead. We'd have this road that goes all the way through in the middle of our cornfields, all the way to 937.
Mm-hmm.
And they would go jogging down this road.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go jog with them.
Mm-hmm.
His,
And he was protecting them.
oh yeah,
Yeah. And now when
jogging
he
with
would sit at the
them.
table with you guys, would he sit like a person
Yeah,
or
yeah,
yeah. Okay. And
yep,
in the chair.
yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the thing, his diet was so much different from a wild dogman because a wild dogman has to hunt every
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And with Rascal, he didn't have to hunt all the time because he had food right there available.
Mm-hmm.
We were giving him antibiotics and everything else. He was getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
His, we would give him fruit
Mm-hmm.
and he would get vegetables
Mm-hmm.
because dogman is not just a meat eater, they're omnivores.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And cooked meat, we'd always make sure he get cooked meat. Now
Mm-hmm.
he did eat some raw meat, but it's like I don't think it he didn't like it all that much. He Here's the thing, what Teresa and Amanda explained to me that he got most of his vitamins and protein off that cooked meat, and that's why he was getting stronger, 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 and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And at night when we get ready to go to bed and stuff, Rascal would do his rounds inside the house. He'd make sure every window and every door was locked.
Mm-hmm.
He would go around and he would make sure there's nothing in those windows and nothing in front of it, nothing in back of those doors at all. Because my family has had problems with Bigfoot ever since my grandfather and his father. I never got to know
Mm.
Grandma at all or Uncle Bertie. I never got to know those two because they were killed by Bigfoot.
Wow.
Yeah, when my grandfather lived in Burnsville, Kentucky, before he moved to Smithland.
So the Bigfoot went and killed them.
Yeah, they were in the garden picking tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
My
And
grandfather
and
just my grandfather just got home from the service.
and do you know why the Bigfoot did that?
No,
So
these were
did you?
type. Okay, these were Type 4 Bigfoot,
Yeah.
the most violent Bigfoot.
Okay.
They're real skinny,
Mm.
and they got these kind
Mm.
of like a baboon face. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you've seen pictures
Yep.
of these damn things. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
had a skin. Yeah,
I'll
and
put just for
black
everybody,
ribbons.
I'm gonna put on this video the type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4
Yeah,
Bigfoot pics so everybody can understand what you're
yeah,
talking about. I'm not sure if there are any pics of the different types of dogmen,
yeah.
but
Everybody calls these Type 4 Bigfoot around here skunk apes because they
okay.
stink.
Okay.
They smell like rotted meat or rotted
So
dried blood.
your family was being targeted by these, right?
Yeah,
Now, did this
yeah.
have something to do with the people in your family that were involved in these projects?
At first,
No,
absolutely no,
no. Okay.
because these projects didn't happen until after Dad and Grandpa's service.
Okay.
I mean, when they were in the reserves.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Because here's the thing about Smithland, Kentucky. This is where I lived, and this is where my family's homestead is. It's chock full. See, we're both sides of my family's homestead had bordered the Tennessee River and the Cumberland River.
Mhm.
And we had this huge creek with two ponds that stretched from river to river.
Right.
So there's plenty of game, plenty of fish. What these Bigfoot do, and this is what my grandfather says, once they pick out an area, they try to drive all the predators, or what they deem as predators, out completely. That
Mhm.
means they'll attack people's houses and everything else.
Mhm. Mhm. To take over the land.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right. So
Isn't that true?
before Rascal, your family was having a lot of interaction with
Yeah,
cryptids.
yeah.
Uh, and you might want to
And
talk about
they
the
weren't good.
kinds,
And
right?
they
The
weren't
different,
good.
you might want to talk about the different kinds of cryptids you encountered as well, because
Yeah,
I mean, this story and and what happened and how you got Rascal, but your story actually goes way back with this, these experiences with
yeah.
all these other
What
cryptids.
little my grandfather told me, because there's a
Hmm.
lot he did not tell me.
Right. Yeah.
And there's the same with my father. There's very little he told me.
Hmm.
So whatever they told me, I put down in my book.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start out. We've always started out with Rascal's Diet. Next, we're gonna start out with his training.
Hmm.
Speed training. This is where I would get my specialized Ford F50 Ford truck. It's a 1989 three-door. I had the back window modified so he could slide up in the back of it and be up here in the front seat with me.
Hmm.
Now, here's what we do with his speed training. My grandfather and dad, since we had a 4-acre backyard, they'd have this football he loved to play with. They worked on his burst speed, takeoff speed, and they'd kick that football from end to end. And they'd let him chase it. Fool, he'd jump up, grab it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Hmm.
Then they let me race him down that back road with
Hmm.
the truck. He got up bipedal now. He can keep up with me going 62 to 65 miles an hour and meet with me at the darn stop sign. But when he went on all four legs, I could see where he went because he'd take off on a dust. Boom. And of course, I'd meet him up at the stop sign.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because when I started on that, you see that road is a good 15-mile road all the way to almost to the
Wow.
LBL.
Yeah.
Because my backyard, our back property, you might as well say it did border the LBL.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when he went on all fours, I'm thinking he went between, excuse me, between 75 and 85 miles an hour. Yeah, and we would do that until I knew it was completed. Strength training, here's what we'd do. He was always we would he would get him to run up and down the trees, climb all the way up 45 foot up,
Hmm.
come flying on back down for several weeks. Swimming, which is part of his strength training, we find out he could swim underwater too. He could hold his breath underwater for 20 minutes.
Wow.
Now, we had quite a few boulders back here in our backyard, in our back 40 where the cornfields were. Grandpa would have Grandpa and Dad would have Rascal bench press those boulders up and down for 2, 3 hours. His muscles was way bigger than my doggone thigh, and I'm 200 pounds, 4 times the size of my doggone thighs. Because the top
How?
part of him was the front part of him was like a weightlifter,
Yeah. How tall was he?
9.6 foot tall,
And that's standing.
and that's standing.
Hmm. Hmm.
When he's on all fours, he's 5.5 foot tall.
And where did
He
he
weighed.
sleep?
He slept right beside me, either beside me or a lot of times in bed with me.
Yeah. So you must have had a big bed.
Well, I had one of those extended king size beds at the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Yeah.
and he weighed about 650 pounds. When he was full grown, his claws were 4 inches. My grandfather also made some folding razors to add on to his claws. They were 10 inches long. And when his claws retracted back into his hand,
Mm-hmm.
the metal claws would go down over like that
Mm-hmm.
and wrap around like bladed brass knuckles to give him punching power.
Mm-hmm.
My
How did they
grandfather,
stay on?
they stayed on real snug,
But
real
how?
nice. Yeah,
I don't
like a
understand
glove.
how.
Oh, like a glove type deal,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like a glove type deal.
Yep.
And my grandfather made these razors for him for defense,
Mm-hmm.
hunting, and fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Incredible.
he says, I want to do something special for this little guy.
So did you imprint, like, I mean, I'm thinking you imprinted from the beginning with him.
Yeah, because when he first opened up his eyes and he saw us,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he reached out his arms like that to hold. So I held him. I was
Mm-hmm.
hugging him and everything else, and everybody else hugged him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we accepted him like family. I
Mm-hmm.
know, yes, we had our moments with him, blah, 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 but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we were his family,
Yeah.
which I'll get back to the telepathy and the other
Mm-hmm.
interviews. I want to go into detail
Mm-hmm.
with him. So, and the next part of his training was gun training. I was back there in the backyard with my Mini 14 20 round clip. I was using 223 ammo,
Mm-hmm.
military ammo, and 5.56 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
I was shooting these targets and stuff, and of course Rascal was standing up there with Grandpa, and he's as a pup he was watching.
Mm-hmm.
He was a half-grown pup at the time, about 6.5, 7 foot tall. He said, "Rascal, boy, you want to go over there and see what he's doing?" My grandfather just sort of playfully kicks that back door wide open. Here he comes. Here comes Rascal. He comes running up there to me, tail wagging and everything, and his ears perked up and bright. He started watching me shoot these darn targets.
Mm-hmm.
He'd run out there and grab the target, bring it back. Then I used my dad's 40 AK-47, which is 7.62 millimeter. I started shooting targets farther away back at it, and Rascal got that. And he could handle the gun real well, but he would not shoot it. He let me know later on that that was for me and my family, not him.
Mm-hmm.
So that part of me makes me realize he knows what he is. He knew what he was.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he was a dog man, but he considered us his family because we were
Right.
right there for him.
Yeah.
And while we were going through his training and stuff, I decided, believe it or not, to introduce him to our fully 400, 500 acre homestead. And I told him, this is your home too. And here's what he would do. He'd go up to the first fork of the tree. You know how the first fork of the tree is real kind of high up? He'd
Mm-hmm.
reach up there, make a claw mark. That was his mark.
Mm-hmm.
So he was marking his territory right then and there.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
mean, it was, to me, it was like, wow. And people say hunting dog man, and well, you all haven't had that hunting experience until you've had a dog man like Rascal as your hunting dog. Because when I went out hunting or fishing with him, I'd always come back with these huge tubs. We're talking 50, 60 pounds, up to 100 pounds of catfish,
Mm-hmm.
big old tubs. And when it come to deer hunting, oh, we would come home with 5 or 6 deer because we'd have these huge herds of deer, 3 to 4 herds.
Mm-hmm.
Like just went through our homestead. But
Right.
for us, it was natural because they get up in our doggone 10 cornfields, and you know how deer do.
Yeah.
And we always liked watching them during the springtime, me and Rascal do, when we go out camping and everything. Because I went camping, I went hunting with him. And yeah, another thing I didn't like doing, but we did it in, we went on patrols too.
Mm-hmm.
And them patrols got kind of scary. That's where we met up with most of our cryptids right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say about the nastiest cryptid we met up with was a daggum crawler. Everybody calls it a rake, which is a creepy pasta name for them, but they're a crawler. They're like a human form of an amphibian.
Mm-hmm. Are they white?
Yeah, the real, I can't say they're white, but they're real pale,
Yeah.
lightish gray,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd have fish like eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Rascal's eyes, I would say, kind of like a cross between a human and a canine, kind of like a, have you ever seen a fox's eyes?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like that. Because when he's fully grown, you saw the picture of him, they were golden yellow.
Yeah.
But when he got mad or something, they'd turn red.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we're in danger and something, yeah.
Right.
And when his eyes shine was either a white or a blue.
Mm.
Now his mate, which I'll explain later on, hers was either a white or a light green. Because she had the prettiest green eyes I've ever seen on a female dog man.
Wow.
And he found her in the LBL.
And so Rascal's both parents, the mother and the father, they got taken by the military.
Yeah.
They got kidnapped.
I wouldn't say kidnapped. From what I heard, they were raised.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But that was never clear how they got them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, they were there.
Yeah.
So, in my first encounter with Rascal on these cryptids, this came in the fall of 1989. Between at the end of October, at the end of September, 1st of October, our central air unit had gone out. So, Grandpa and Dad took the main bay window out
Mm-hmm.
completely so we can get some air. Now, I just gotten home from an inventory company that I had been working from 1982 to 1994 for 11 years for them. I was on vacation at the time. I had a severe headache, so I laid down on the couch that was right up almost under the window. Uh, Dad and Grandpa, they were sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee.
Mm.
The girls were cooking dinner. Now, I don't know what brought these type 3 baboon faced Bigfoot. I don't know. It must have been the smell of food. And why they didn't detect Rascal at the time. See, Rascal was sleeping right, was laying down across the kitchen table, across the kitchen floor.
Mm-hmm.
At first, all I saw was this black hand coming down. No, the hand coming down like this at me. I didn't think nothing. I just thought it was Rascal playing joke. I mean, so I just flipped on over and didn't really pay it no mind
Mm-hmm.
because my migraine. All of a sudden, I heard this war whoop out of this world. I mean, it scared everybody. All I saw was huge fangs and claws going over my head. And I was still laying on the couch, and it was Rascal. he grabbed this, what it was, this type 3 Bigfoot or what it was, was halfway in, halfway out of the daggum window gonna grab me. And before he got to grab me, Rascal slammed into it, grabbed it into a huge headlock, took his back feet, kicked the couch with me on the couch, all the way against the room, all the way across the room, up against the doggone wall.
Mhm.
And the fight started. When the fight started, it was a 2-3 minute fight. They tore that whole windowsill to pieces. Grandpa and Dad was grabbing their guns. The girls had already dove under the kitchen table screaming. And Rascal bit this thing on top of the head. And all I heard was a sickening crunch, and he'd killed it.
And it
After it,
actually took its arm through because its plan was to take
yeah,
you through
yanked
the
me through,
window.
yeah, through the window.
And that was a skunk ape? Is that
Yeah,
a Bigfoot?
no, that was a type 3 Bigfoot.
A big, okay, and the type 3
Yeah,
is what?
and it
So people
had
know.
big long ears. See, it
Uh,
had big long ears like a dog man, but it's not a dog man. It's what my grandfather called a fake dog man.
I've
Because
seen.
some of these things, my grandfather explained, had ears within ears.
Hmm.
Had big
Yeah.
top ears, but it had smaller ears coming up out of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if this is due to their inbreeding or what.
Yeah. I've seen a couple pictures of somebody who.
And we also had
Uh,
problems with called goggle eyes.
hmm.
These are Bigfoot too, but they're so inbred down the line, like they're just as violent, if not worse.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we'll get into them later.
So they were brazen enough to
Yeah.
actually just go right on up there.
Yeah, yeah. Right on up to our window and try their best to grab one of us because they smelt that food and they saw me. Hey, there's a quick meal right there. You see, these Bigfoot, they're opportunists.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
They're definitely opportunists and they're definitely cannibals.
Hmm.
And especially the type fours. So when after Rascal killed this thing, he came over to me and started licking my face and checking me out. And I told him, well, I'm all right, I'm all right. Don't worry, don't worry. And what I did, I sat up. My dad and grandpa, they were doing the best they could with that windowsill, but they stood by it. And Rascal got up there and got between them, but he didn't go outside.
Hmm. Hmm.
He stayed right there with them.
Hmm.
Now, whatever this thing was pulled back through the window, I'd say its companions, because we saw in the morning we saw 3 or 4 different types of footprints in it. So we followed them all the way back to the creek because we had to walk through all the cornfields that morning, following them where they went. Rascal was taking the lead, so we went all the way. Then we had walked because we'd seen where it'd been dragged.
Hmm.
But after we got to the creek, you know, water and everything, I knew Rascal lost the scent, but he knew probably where they were at. But my grandfather stopped right there. He says, "Okay, guys, we're stopping here. We're not going, and we're definitely not going into the woods."
Hmm. Hmm.
Because my grandfather's thinking they probably dragged it back to the LBL where they ate it.
They ate the other
This is
Bigfoot.
yeah, yeah. This is why you're not gonna find no
Hmm.
uh very
Bodies.
Bigfoot.
Hmm.
That's why you're not gonna find that. Uh,
Were you ever afraid that the government was gonna come and investigate your situation, that they would know about Rascal?
no, because I have a feeling deep
Yeah.
down, deep down in my heart, I think they already knew through my
Hmm.
dad's best friend.
I would say so, yeah.
And yeah, I'm thinking they let us have Rascal
Hmm.
because they want to know, you know,
If they could
if,
be domesticated.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. When
That white not the Sasquatch, the white cryptid there. What did you call it?
crawler.
The crawler. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
I'm thinking those things were created by the Nephilim, which is now what we call Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Because way back when, during Noah's time,
Mm-hmm.
they had their own cities,
Mm-hmm.
like Lemur. If you ever heard of Lemur,
Lemuria. Yeah.
yep. And have you heard of Atlantis?
Oh
That's
yeah.
another one of their cities.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing and even it explains in the Bible
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that they were doing these experiments,
Yeah.
DNA experiments, and all that. And what they were doing,
Yeah.
and my grandfather calls Dogman as one of God's cherubs that guards to this day the Valley of Eden.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And then so you've got you've got a lot of corrupted hybrids being created by
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
If you look at
That never died out in the flood.
yeah, yeah. And so God destroyed their cities, their language, the
Mm-hmm.
written speech, and everything, and scattered them to the four corners of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's been explained. And the thing with Dogman, I'm thinking they went underground
Mm-hmm.
to what's called. Have you ever heard of the second Earth,
Mm-hmm.
like Journey to the Center of the Earth
Mm-hmm.
type deal?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's where they went.
Mm-hmm. But then you've got your different kinds of dogmen, and I don't
Yeah,
think that I think one of the kinds may have been guardians in origin, but I don't think the others are. I think
yeah,
then you're getting into again, right? Different hybrid experimentations of different
yeah, yeah,
species.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
the thing with that, they said, well, Bigfoot can mate with a dogman. My grandfather explained this is because through their experimentation, they were able to do this because they would grab a lone female dogman and let the younger ones mate with it. And that's how you get all these dangerous hybrids.
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like cryptids are coming out from all over the place now. They're
Yeah.
just, I mean,
Well, the
it's,
Bible explains this would come out
mm-hmm,
during the end times. We are in the end times.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, some are good, some are evil.
Yeah.
Same with Bigfoot and Dogman. Some are good, some are evil. It depends on where the area they're in,
Yeah.
the situation, the
Yeah.
environment, everything.
Yeah. Were you guys ever afraid living where you were living because you had so much activity with all these cryptids? I mean, at any point did you all just say, might want to move? Like your
Not
grandfather
really.
seems totally normal
Sometimes
with
yes,
it.
sometimes no. We would
Yeah.
think about it, but in the end, we said, "Look, this is our home.
Mm-hmm.
We've put too much into it.
Yeah.
No, we're not leaving."
Yeah.
And when Rascal came on the scene, that just solidified. Says we're definitely staying.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Mm-hmm.
Rascal got there, I'll put it to you this way: it changed everything. And Crypt is pretty much stopped
Mm-hmm.
coming near the house
Mm-hmm.
because all the way until I got Rascal,
Mm-hmm.
I would always have these damn monkey men or whatever staring at me through the windows, and it was creepiest. Ugh.
They would just go up to the window and look in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My God.
Or they make sure their shadow was known, which is even worse.
And what do you think they were doing?
For the most part, intimidation.
Yeah. I mean, did they want
Because
to?
they figured well, we can just break in there and take whatever we want anyhow. That's what they
Mm-hmm.
was thinking. But it changed when Rascal got on the scene because they're all going like, because this, well, even when they saw me and Rascal together,
Mm-hmm.
it threw them off track because they're thinking, what is a dog man as huge as Rascal And we found out he's an alpha male. He grew into an alpha male real quick.
Right.
And it was like they were going like, "Hey, what's a dog man doing with a human? And
Mm-hmm.
what's a dog man doing living with a human family?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this kind of upset their little whatever they had going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, the next encounter I want to get into was me and my girlfriend. Well, before that, I want to get to this other. It was kind of real funny encounter.
Mm.
It's about 1990, the summer of 1990. In the middle of it, we were late on growing our corn.
Mm.
It was only about 4 foot tall, not
Mm-hmm.
very tall. And I had to park my truck back there. Me and Rascal one night, one Saturday night, we were just gonna kind of hang out, kind of camp there and stuff,
Mm.
laying back of the truck, and that's what we did. Well, I kept hearing this ping, ping, ping up against the side of my truck. What the hell? And all of a sudden, one of these little rocks hits Rascal dead square on the nose. He stood up pissed as crap. I don't want to say the other word, but boy, he was. And his eyes were red and he was looking down. And I got up and I looked to my left towards the woods, and across the cornfields was this young gogwai, 5, 6 foot gogwai, and two young juvenile Bigfoot, type 1, and they were both type 2. I saw from distance up in the woods was this huge Bigfoot that me and Rascal had always had troubles with, all the
Mm.
way up until Lucy.
Mm.
What this huge Bigfoot did, he had gray on his sides, sort of blackish red eyes, and square teeth. He looked like he had this long ape's face, and he was about 8.5 foot tall, maybe 1,000 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he would stay back there in the back of the woods, and he sent them three up there to investigate us and mess with us, to count coup on us.
Mm.
So when Rascal got up, this gargoyle decides, I don't know what it is, to slide up under my truck. I'm like, what? And Rascal saw this. He reaches down and grabs this thing by the hair of the head, takes his fist like that and goes boom, 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 boom. Face punches him several times. Well, his buddies saw he was in trouble because Rascal was hitting him so hard it was caving his face in. And I saw the thing's teeth were stunted teeth, weird, stunted, round teeth.
Mm.
And the thing with it is, it's two buddies grabbed it each by the leg and pulled it out from under the truck, which Rascal lost his grip on it, but he jumped out of the truck and chased him off back into the woods.
Mm. And what was he doing underneath your truck to begin with?
I have no idea. I guess to count coup on us.
Uh-huh.
Well, it didn't work.
Mm.
And I went home. We told Grandpa this, and Grandpa says, "This is how they expand their territory. They go out, do whatever they can."
Mm-hmm.
They said they would sit there and they were probably watching. He says that big one was watching you and Rascal and sent
Mm-hmm.
them three to test you two out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and we didn't hear nothing else from them until the next incident, which is in right around July
Mm-hmm.
1990, when me and my girlfriend and Rascal went camping
Yeah.
because for about a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
and we caught some fish by the two big ponds and creek.
Mhm.
That's where we set up camp and everything. And our big tent is a big person's huge tent with Rascal
Mhm.
sleeping right up against us.
Mhm.
And she had the door open at, she had the unzipped door open at night
Mhm.
because she wanted some air. Well, the woods got real dead quiet. You couldn't even hear a pin drop. In
Well,
this,
that's never a good sign.
no, no. And Rascal raised his head up, kind of growled. And all of a sudden, we was hearing footprints all the way around our camp. Then all of a sudden, this Bigfoot had poked his big ass head through the doggone tent door. Rascal immediately meets him right there at the door and face punches him several times. And of course, he had his razors folded over and he was slamming into this thing. Then they both went outside and we heard a terrific fight. And he had beaten this thing to death. And we left it there by the campfires that we put out. Because when I go camping, I put 3 campfires plus a cooking fire in a triangle formation around my tent. And when we put out those fires, we broke camp. We headed home. And I told Grandpa, him and Dad came back with us that morning when we killed the Bigfoot. And when we went there, the Bigfoot's body wasn't there. Grandpa says its companions dragged its body back to the LBL and probably ate it.
Oh, wait.
Yep. Now,
Robert, can you just hold on a sec? My dogs
yeah.
are just going nuts here. So just give me 2 secs.
Okay. Uh, Next encounter, it was actually a camping slash swimming incident. My very first encounter with a crawler, or what people call a rake.
Mm.
It was me, my sister, mom, and my girlfriend and Rascal. We were more or less camping and doing I guess, because we got a small beach on our homestead that's right up against the Cumberland River. That's right there at the Cumberland River, where we fish, swim, and everything else, which was real cool. So me and Rascal, we were back in the truck napping after we got through catching a whole bunch of catfish, huge tubs of catfish. The girls, they were sunbathing. When I mean sunbathing, they were sunbathing. I mean, these girls were absolutely beautiful, especially Dad's girlfriend. Long blonde hair, and Teresa had blonde hair. My girlfriend had red hair, or what they call strawberry blonde. While they were sunbathing, out from the weeds in the river came this 4.5 foot tall, humanoid looking like amphibian. It had scales on it, kind of like a snake
Wow.
at first, but around its nose and stuff, what you would call a nose, I don't know. And its skin was completely pale and slimy. This thing was hissing like a snake. I'm like, what the hell? Because me and Rascal, we were in the back of the truck. I immediately grabbed my 9mm, and this thing was 4.5 foot tall, fish like, black fish like eyes, had a dorsal fin down its back, 3 to 2 fingered hand claws, very sharp, and 2 toed, sometimes 3 toed web feet. And it come out of that water charging at the girls. It didn't pay attention to me or Rascal. Rascal leaped up out there and met it halfway and slammed his claws and razors through it and
It,
slammed it down on the
this was
ground.
daylight, right?
Yeah, this was daylight.
And
The
it came
girls
right
went
out.
screaming. The girls went screaming, headed straight for the truck and tent. And Rascal had already killed his thing by the time I grabbed my 9mm. I called Grandpa immediately. He says, "You all stay there. Do not move. I'm coming." And Rascal had torn this thing in half. He didn't bite it or anything, like he knew not to. This creature had black blood, or what looked like black blood. And when my grandfather says, "Get away from that sand where that blood is," because that blood was cauterizing that sand. It was so toxic. See, these things have poison in them. And I opened up its mouth and it was full of razor teeth, like a shark's or a snake's. Because I noticed every one of its teeth was hollow like a snake's. Like venom could go through them. And it was. I was right. I looked in back of its throat. There was this black sack.
The
So
venom.
nothing but poison in it. And these veins went all the way through the top of its throat. So I knew that's where the venom come out. Then I looked at where Rascal tore it in half, and each one of its organs were like snake organs. And they'd have these small black sacs all over the organs. And right and hooking up to its vascular blood system. So it had so that was its protection against the other cryptids. The other cryptids try to bite it.
Yeah, yeah,
And Rascal, since him being a dog man, must have had it born in him not to bite these things.
yeah. My Lord.
Yeah. And this damn thing was quick too, but Rascal was a little bit quicker.
And it was just gonna come out and try and kill you guys and eat you.
It was charged at the girls.
Yeah.
It was concentrating on one of the girls as a meal. My grandfather said, "Be careful of these crawlers because they're extra vicious." He says they're sent out by the Nephilim to wipe out anything and everything. They're nothing but an attack machine.
Yeah.
He says, and I found out this. My grandfather found out where the hole where they coming through, where they were coming in, and he poured a huge gallon of old motor oil. He lit up a flare
Mhm,
and he set that hole on fire. He says, if you see any abandoned beaver dams,
mhm.
he says, do not go in them because they will use them as holes too.
Did your grandfather seal it up afterwards?
Yep.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that was especially scary.
Wow. And what'd you do with the body?
A rascal threw both pieces in the river because he took the front part of it after he ripped its legs off. He was just beating it in the ground like blam, 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 blam.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have a lot of helicopter activity around your place? And I
Around my
mean,
place,
yeah, I'd imagine.
it was around everybody's place, yeah.
I mean, they know that your area is loaded, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Next incident I want to get into, might as well have to say this is my first experience with deer spirits, but I didn't see one yet. Yet. Until that next morning. Me and Rascal were camping because I was chopping wood
Mm-hmm.
for a fireplace and everything. And I cut down a tree. It was a birch tree. And I split it up and everything. But 2 cords, filled it up back. Because I had 10 cords, so we were gotten up 10 cords. It took us 2, 3 days to get them 10 cords to and back, to and back, to and back.
Mm-hmm.
Putting 2 cords each trip. We made about 4 or 5 trips that day.
Mm.
And we were so tired, we laid back down in our tent in Rascal. And the woods got real quiet again. I'm like, crap, here we go. But here's the strange thing about this. We kept hearing these strange calls, weird howl cries. They were long and moan too. Rascal, he just kept himself wrapped around me and stuff and kept watch all night long. Now I didn't fall asleep until 5, 6:30 that morning, because I couldn't sleep. We didn't see anything whatsoever. That next morning, I started gathering up the wood.
Mm.
Rascal was on top of the hill watching over me, and I heard something. I looked up, and there this deer spirit was. I'm like, holy crap. This damn thing was about 6.5 foot tall. It had a deer's head. It had 4 fingered claw hands. This thing, when it opened up its mouth, it looked like a long deer, but when it opened up its mouth, it had some real sharp teeth. I'm like, oh God, what is this? Because it had antlers, like a deer,
Wow.
long deer face, and it had a strange hoof foot. The back end foot kind of looked like a back end of a Bigfoot, but the front end looked like 2 hooves. Real strange looking. This thing was real thin, looked like it'd been starving or something. And it had no hair on it whatsoever, and it was brown.
What do you
And
think a
I'm
deer
like,
spirit is, though?
oh, my grandfather said it's some sort of demon that runs
Yeah.
a deer. And anyhow, Rascal came up. I heard Rascal come up from behind me. He was walking by. Peter walked up behind me and got in front of me. Got in between me and that deer spirit. Got in front of me. He looked at that deer spirit and he gave a warning bark. This damn thing flipped around real fast and it took off running.
Mm-hmm.
It did not want to mess with Rascal. And I asked Grandpa, what is this damn thing that I just saw? He said it's some sort of demon.
Do you think it comes in and out? Like it's not always roaming?
like through a portal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't like portals neither.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So,
Me neither.
uh-uh. Next incident, since that was in 1991, because that was like in a very early spring where there's still snow on the ground when I met that deer spirit. The boy, this other incident was a real scary one too. It was in late November in 1991.
Mm.
Me and Rascal were doing a full weekend of hunting because we were going to get ready for Thanksgiving. Everybody, we already had about 3 or 4 turkeys for everybody there, and 2 hams because we had cousins and stuff coming over because they knew about Rascal and all that. Me and Rascal said, "Well, we're going to get a couple of deer, about 4 or 5 deer, because we want to make sure everybody had everything to eat."
Mm.
That morning, it was we were going to fix a big Thanksgiving for everyone. That morning, I parked the truck and I pulled the 3-wheeler and out off the trailer and everything. We took off. Early morning, we got 2 good-sized doe. We stripped them out,
Mm.
cleaned them,
Mm.
cut them up, put them in the coolers with dry ice. Went back out, got two more, and this time we got a doe and a buck. But we didn't do them like the other two. We just strung them up because my sister and Amanda said if you string two of them up and skin them out and dry the skins out,
Yeah.
we'll make a big old blanket from you and Rascal. And like, oh, goody. So we did that, strung them up on the tree, you know, cleaned them. And after we stretched some skins out, we went back out about 11:30 in the morning, go back to get another two. We took off back in the deep woods. We got the two deer. Now, my camp, as usual, got three fires in a triangle formation in front of our big tent. My truck was parked next to the tent. We went back there about 2 hours. It's 2:30, 3 o'clock. We come up. Rascal was in the lead. He got up over the hill. He stopped. His whole hair bristled, and I saw his eyes go red. Well, there's something strange because I kept seeing smoke going up over our damn camp. I'm like, what the hell's this? So we went up there, and Rascal charged down the bank, charged down that hill, and gave a huge warning bark. I said, uh-oh, we got trouble. And so I decided to take the three-wheeler, and I went around the hill. I unhooked and I slammed the 20-round clip in my Mini 14 because I was going to come around on it on the side where Rascal was keeping whatever it was occupied. I was going to come around on the blind side with my rifle. When I got there, our camp was destroyed, literally. While our two deer, while our two deer in the ice box weren't taken, I don't know. But the two deer that were strung up on the tree limb were gone, and our skins were gone. Our campfires were kicked out. Our tent was literally destroyed. And I called Dad and Grandpa up, told them the situation. They said, hold on, we're coming. You stay there. So we stayed there. They came up. They saw how tired me and Rascal were. He said, okay, let's go back there and get two more deer. We'll clean these up right now. And we cleaned up the other two, then we went back out, got two more. So Grandpa and Dad, they got their other tent out, replaced the one that was destroyed. We stayed that night, then went back, came home early in the morning, threw the torn up tent in back of my truck. Then we broke camp that morning, next morning, and we got hit at home. Had a real good dinner and everything. What it was, we found out there's 3 or 4 Bigfoot that came up in our doggone camp and destroyed it and took everything.
Why do you think they didn't destroy you?
Because of the food that was there. And see, me and Rascal were already out there hunting. They came in while we left
Yeah.
and grabbed them two deer.
Yeah.
Plus, me and Rascal had already had food in bags and stuff that
Yeah.
they took too.
Wow.
This is why you'll see and hear from, and I've heard several times these Bigfoot going into towns, getting into dumpsters and all that. It's because they're opportunists.
Yeah.
Now, when I hunted with Rascal, dogmen are totally different. They got a pack mentality, but they're super intelligent because they're ambush hunters. They hunt up in the trees. Bigfoot don't. They'll jump down on top of the deer. I've seen Rascal do this so many times. Take his claws and his raiders, wham, right in its neck, and ride it down.
Mhm.
He'll take out 2 or 3 of these deer. Me, I'll take out another 1 or 2 with my rifle, but I'll only shoot once or twice.
Mhm.
Never again, because I don't want to. Because many of these Bigfoot know if they hear a gunshot, that means free and easy dinner.
Mhm. Good
So,
point.
yeah. And me and Rascal were always on the move when we hunted.
Yeah.
I loved hunting with him.
Yeah.
Of course, now that since he's passed away, I don't go hunting anymore and I don't go fishing because I
Mhm.
know what's out there.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's just when I hear these people going in deep, you know, camping and
Yeah, they're marching in there with guns. It's like this. What you're going to do is get yourself in trouble.
yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people say, Robert, you had Rascal and blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah. Now, here's the thing between me and Rascal. We were a good hunting team and everything else. But when we went out there, we were like everybody else.
Mhm.
I had the advantage of Rascal, but we were always outnumbered.
Yeah.
Always. But we were able to keep these cryptids off balance
Mhm.
because when they seen me and Rascal were together or seen Rascal with any member of my family, it brought them off balance.
Mhm.
They don't know who to go after first, me or any of my family or Rascal,
Mhm. Mhm.
because they're more or less most of the time they'll back off and leave. But no, there's a bunch of them that didn't.
So would Rascal, when you guys were hunting, you mostly hunted adult deer and adult. The reason why I say this is because I've seen footage of some Bigfoot who would just take baby deer. Like,
Yeah, they will because it's
yeah.
easy for
Mhm.
them. Look, Bigfoot, I don't care what anybody says, they're not that good of hunters. Really, they're not.
Mhm. Mhm.
You look at Dogman, this is a totally different thing. They think.
Mhm.
They're a thinking hunter.
Mhm. Mhm.
They really are. I know this from Rascal because he thinks. And Rascal can hear up to 75 miles. This is why he turned his ears from,
Yeah.
and his eyesight was way better than mine. And he could even see at night like a cat. He can
Mhm.
even see color like we can.
Mhm. Mhm. Incredible.
I mean, I had Rascal practically with me all the time, except when I went to work.
Yeah.
Then I worked for Walmart in 1994 at nights.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I worked from there from 1994 to 2021.
Wow. So he just
This,
wait for you to get home. He just.
yeah,
Mhm.
yep. And he would take showers and everything with us too.
Right.
Now, Rascal, he wouldn't invent. Yeah, he would. Everyone says, well, Rascal sounds like he's this invincible force that you can't stop.
Mhm.
Well, Rascal's still flesh and blood. He got hurt. But
Mhm.
what made him invincible was the training we gave, the military training that dad and the training we gave him,
Mhm.
his
Mhm.
diet, which is way better than any cryptid out in the wild,
Yeah.
plus medicine, antibiotics,
Mhm.
and vitamins that these wild cryptids could never get,
Yeah.
that Rascal did get.
Right. Yeah. Did he ever play?
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Football.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Mhm.
This happened when Grandpa was, this is when it just got through raining. Yeah. I was sitting in the kitchen table with Mama Rosie. What they did to that backyard turned it into a freaking mud hole. Chasing after that doggone football, playing with it and everything else. I mean, it was muddy. Even a couple of teenage neighbor kids got in on it because they were on a football team. They all started playing. I tell you what, those six, including Rascal, turned that whole backyard into one massive, wet, soggy mud hole. Our
Well,
farmer pigs would be envious.
how many people in your neighborhood knew about Rascal?
All of them.
And nobody like
Mm-mm.
called the
No,
authorities or anything.
no, no.
Well, that's lucky.
Yeah. When you see Grandpa explain to him
Hmm.
and stuff,
Uh-huh.
and even my dad's friend explained to him and stuff. And this is another reason why the picture I showed you was a Polaroid picture, not a picture where you have to get
Right.
negatives and all that. I was not allowed to take pictures like that.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody asks why not. Well, if
Mm-hmm.
you go to the drugstore, you take them pictures to the drugstore, what's going to happen to them negatives? Because someone could
Mm-hmm.
turn you in real quick.
Yeah. Right.
So dad and grandpa and dad's best friend said no pictures
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
And
They'd be all
anyhow,
over that.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom looks out there them playing with the dang football. I'm over here laughing. I'm over here laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, but they all powered up on that football, and I don't know how it did, but it went shot straight up in the air, about 10 feet in the air. And everyone's looking up at that football, and it came down. Rascal was the first to jump out, and everybody else jumped with Rascal, and like trying to get that football. And mud went flying high, and then they started coming down to the house. Mom turned around and she says, "Oh, no, I don't think so." She went downstairs with a water hose, lined all of them up in. She says, "You ain't coming in the house looking like that." She hosed all of them down, made
Well,
them take a bath. I'm over here, I'm laying on the floor at this point, laughing my head off. And she come in there and she almost kicked me. She says, "Shut up. Just shut up." So dad and grandpa has to go took a shower and that was it. That was funny.
Mhm.
Oh, that was funny. Mom didn't think that was so funny though.
No.
No, 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 no. And when we was going hunting, grandpa always made Rascals this huge vest pouch with several pockets and a
Mhm.
slide feature where I could slide dad's AK-47 in the back of his pouch that was on his back or my
Mhm.
Mini 14.
Mhm.
Plenty of ammo and food.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of people say, well, why do you need an AR-15 or AK-47? And I'm thinking, I said, okay, why is it any of your business? And number two, have you seen what's out there?
Yeah, I don't think a normal gun's gonna do much.
No, no.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a very tricky thing, though, to use weapons like in an encounter right away. Like I get
Yeah,
it if it's life and death, but most of the time it's the worst thing you could do. Like
yeah,
if you can get out,
yeah,
just get out
yeah,
because I think they'll just
yeah,
the whole pack will hunt you down.
yeah. Well, I'm like this. I always hold my rifle down
Mhm.
in the feature where it's not threatening anybody or anything.
Yeah.
Or I have it strapped across my back.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes in my position, they always wanted to come at us.
Mhm.
Now we've had, stray dog man come around, but they didn't do much. They were just after deer, boom, that's no problem.
Yeah.
And of course they knew Rascal was there and they respected Rascal and
Mhm.
his territorial marks. Because he let them know that whole 400, 500 homestead was his territory,
Yeah.
his home.
Yeah.
And they respected that and they kind of stayed off.
Mhm.
Now, if we'd see one or two of them, while we were out deer hunting, I would shoot one of those deer and I'd leave it out there on a tree stump just for them,
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
know, as a peace offering.
Yeah. Ooh, smart.
Yeah. Well, another smart thing on the edge of our property and stuff, always put a white marble
Mm-hmm.
or a green and blue marble. That's a sign of friendship to the dogmen because they see that as a rock, a shiny rock and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like people don't realize this.
How'd you find that out?
Huh?
How'd you find that out about the marbles?
My grandfather and my dad taught it to me.
Oh.
This is how intelligent they are. White is purity, so it means to them means friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Green and blue means friendship too, but the green has more significance as I'm your friend, but I'm having problems with like Bigfoot or these other cryptids. Please help.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll stay off your property, but they'll get rid of the mother cryptids too.
And then the blue one?
The blue one is, I mean you no harm. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not here to trouble you.
Mm-hmm. So the
So,
white one's your friend.
uh-huh.
Okay. The the green one is I'm your friend, but I need help.
Yep.
And the blue one is I'm your
Is
friend
just
again.
I'm your friend. Let's just live in peace.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Is there a color that's bad that you should never put out?
I always stood with those three, but I didn't want to test that theory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other markers that you were taught about for them?
No, just those.
Just
Those are the
those?
three
Yeah.
main ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The next incident, this is kind of bad. This is 1992. This is a house attack. My house was attacked by 5 Bigfoot. I was taking a week and a half, 2 week vacation. And I was sitting at the kitchen table with dad and grandpa. We were drinking coffee. And mom was cooking breakfast. Rascal's laying right beside me. My sister is watching the news. Amanda came through the front door of her adopted daughter, little Sally. And came by. Amanda came over to us. Little Sally, who's artistic, she ran straight to Rascal, wrapped her arms around his huge neck so tight, Rascal actually coughed. Little Sally was crying, saying the monkey men are coming to get me. I'm like, monkey men? I looked at Amanda. Grandpa looked at Amanda. So did Dad. She said, "Guys, I need help." For the past week and a half, these monkey men have been staring in Sally's bedroom window. They wouldn't come near her window or not, just Sally's. Little Sally go running into her mom, crying so bad and couldn't sleep. It's gone on for a week, so she came over. I had Rascal pick up little Sally, lay her down on the couch, lay down with her on the couch till she fell asleep. I reached over and grabbed my Mini 14. Dad and Grandpa grabbed their 50 caliber pistols. We took off for Amanda's house. Now back then, the trailer court's not wasn't there, and neither was the other neighbors that's lived close now to Mom and Dad's house. It was nothing but total dark woods with a path that went from our house to Amanda's house.
Okay.
We walked through that path.
Mhm.
Took us about an hour to get to her house. Grandpa and Dad was going around the back, and Rascal went around front. Rascal was ahead of me. And when Rascal poked his head around that corner to where little Sally's bedroom was, his mane went up, his tail went straight, and he was growling. I went around Rascal, turned on my scope, my day-night scope, clicked the safety off, and I held my hand up to Dad and Grandpa saying, "Hold it." So they stopped. But they met me when I went all around the thing, when we went around to where Sally's bedroom was. We saw 5 or 6 different footprints. One footprint was I couldn't believe how big it was. It was 20 inches long, 6 inches wide. And I started scanning the woods with my Mini 14 and scope. I caught 5 red eye shines. And I said, "Guys, we're outnumbered here. Let's get back." So we went back. Dad and Grandpa went first. Then I went, then Rascal went, stayed behind us because he didn't want them to follow us. He did a defensive circle all the way around us, make sure we weren't being followed. We got back, I'm thinking about 7:30 that night. Grandpa told Amanda, says, "Hun, won't you and Sally stay with us for about a week or two?" She said, "Okay." So that next morning, I got up, me and Rascal went with Amanda. Little Sally get some extra clothes for a week and little Sally's favorite toys. First thing we did, we got back that morning. Little Sally was playing up a storm with Rascal. Looked like the most relaxed she's been in. Amanda told me that was the most relaxed that she's been in a week and a half. And then she fell asleep with Rascal that morning. And they slept on the floor next to the fireplace. Me and Dad and Grandpa started getting prepared for them things to come to the house. We checked the spotlights that were on the kitchen window. These were huge spotlights. Now, our house was built into a hill, 5 bedroom, 3 bath. The kitchen and my bedroom were the tallest or the highest in the house. They were 14 foot in the air, 14 foot high, because those 2 rooms were sitting on top of the garage. Now, the garage had a 4-inch graphite thick garage doors with gun slits for a reason. Now, that night, which was a Tuesday night, we heard screams around Amanda's house and all that. Dad and Grandpa next morning checked out, and they saw footprints all the way around Amanda's house. Then they went back to the woods. So them and Grandpa and Rascal came back. Wednesday and Thursday, we heard tree knocks. These things started anywhere from 10:30, then lasted about 1 o'clock in the morning. Friday, the screams and tree knocks got louder. We would turn on the spotlights, shine them out in the woods, we'd hear running. That happened all the way in about 2 o'clock that Friday morning.
Do you think they were trying to ambush you to kill you all?
Yes, they
Hmm.
were after little Sally, and I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why.
They were after Sally? And how old
Yes,
was she?
3 or 4 years old. She is artistic.
Oh my Lord, she's autistic.
Yeah,
And they were after her.
yeah.
Interesting.
Saturday, Saturday was the night of the attack. I still have nightmares to this day. The woods and everything around us that day was totally quiet. Couldn't even hear a pin drop. It was like that all day long. Then at night, about 10:30, 11 o'clock, we were hearing screams in our backyard. We went and grabbed the girls. Grandpa fitted Rascal's razors on him, and he went back there to my bedroom with the girls. Grandpa said, Rascal, shut the door and protect the girls with your life. We threw open them back. We threw open the kitchen bay door window so we can have a clear shot. The leader, or the alpha male Bigfoot, is 9 to 10 foot tall. He's the one with the 20-inch footprints. He was down there directly under the kitchen window, screaming at us. One of his compatriots, next one biggest to him, was 7 foot, and the other three were 6 foot Bigfoot. They all had reddish black eyes. The one up in the maple tree, I took an aim at. I tried to get a headshot. I couldn't get a headshot. He popped his kneecap out, and I blew his knee out from under him, which in the maple tree is right in front of the kitchen window. And he fell out of the tree. The other three, smaller Bigfoot, which were 6.5 foot tall, they were ducking in behind the trees, trying to lay down, because Dad and Grandpa were shooting at them with their 12 gauge and automatic 16 gauge.
Mhm.
We were unloading on these things, and they were throwing rocks, limbs, and everything else at the house, and did some damage to the house. While this was going on, we had the spotlights going on too. Rascal had slipped out of the house. He walked along what's called the kitchen wall, which is a 10-foot wall that stretches along our driveway in a curve where I put all our firewood and stuff. He was walking along that wall and he got behind that Bigfoot, the alpha male. He leaped behind, got on that Bigfoot's back. He rammed his claws and razors wham, like that in the back of his neck and twisted his head off. Blood and gore went everywhere. All over the kitchen window, all over the side of the house. It was horrible. The other Bigfoot that I shot saw what happened, what Rascal did. It charged it. I don't know how this damn thing was running. It was missing up half its leg, but it was running. Rascal jumped up about 20 foot in the air and decapitated it clean, cut its head clean off with the razors. The other three were still pinned down by me, Dad, and Grandpa. One of them popped his head up and Dad shot it. He was using steel 4 pound ball bearings for his ammo. And when he shot one of them Bigfoot with a ball bearing, I saw the ball bearing look like slow motion, hit it through its eye and out the back of its head. Dad killed it. The other two were laying down flat on the ground and managed to drag its companion off back through the woods. And it was about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning when the fight actually ended.
And do you, so when the alpha male was screaming, what kind of a scream did it make? What did it sound like?
I couldn't, it was kind of like, ah! It was like real loud,
Mhm. Did you
like a
feel any
woman
physical,
screaming.
did you feel any physical impact from the scream? Like I know that they're
And
able to.
like, through my ears, yeah,
Hmm.
because my ears is ringing.
Hmm.
But Rascal ended that real quick.
Yeah. And
Then that next,
why do you think they were interested in?
I don't know. I don't know whether to eat her or what. I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They had some high interest,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt it wasn't good.
Mm-hmm. So they dragged the one Bigfoot back into the
Yeah,
woods,
to
but
eat
then
it.
and then you guys had
Uh huh.
the two bodies there.
And then that next morning, we dragged the two Bigfoot we had killed to the burning pile. Let's call it the burning pile. We poured motor oil on it,
Mhm.
threw brush, threw half our wood on top of them, and set it on fire for the rest of the day.
Did you ever take any pictures of those Bigfoot?
No.
No, no.
Yeah, Grandpa and Dad said not a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at the time, when we're facing these things, you're not thinking about taking pictures. Uh-uh.
No, I'm thinking when they were dead, like when you're collecting the bodies and
Yeah,
piling them up, like, it's
yeah,
not, I mean, you're protecting Rascal from taking pictures, but like
yeah,
the Sasquatch or the
yeah,
Bigfoot, at least like they're just
yeah. These were
cryptid.
type fours.
Yeah. And the type 4 is the monkey one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
And later that night, which is Saturday night, well, I mean Sunday night, we were so tired. And they took Rascal in after the fight with these Bigfoot. And Amanda and Grandpa took Rascal into the back, one of the back bathrooms, cleaned him off and everything, and doctored his wounds because he had a slash mark on his right arm. And so he laid down next to me. We laid down on the kitchen floor. Might as well say we fell asleep. Then after we burned in Bigfoot, we laid down. I just collapsed. Then when I woke up on the couch. I guess Rascal took me to the couch. And about 11 o'clock that Sunday night, he was looking at the window and his eyes were blood red. I said, "Hey, guys, here they come." And Grandpa says, "Oh, hell, here we go again." We went out there, we turned on the spotlight. There were these two young ones that had survived our attack, our gunshots and all that. They were sitting there at the burning pile, which is at the next field over, eating the ash and the bones of their companions. This is how I know they're nothing but cannibals and can't be trusted. We waited for them to finish, and they went back. They went back of our property, close to the LBL, where the two electric fences are. One fence is ours, one fence is theirs. Or these three ground caves. If you're not careful, you're going to step into these caves and fall into them. Well, we found out where these Bigfoot were because we were finding pig bones, horse bones, sheep bones, cattle bones, bones of several cats and dogs. And I
Oh,
started wondering, are there people bones here too? And Grandpa says, okay. told me and Amanda, since we had our rifles, told me and Amanda and Rascal stay on top of that hill. Dad, Grandpa says, I'll be back with my tractor. He came back with the tractor. He came back with 3 or 4 huge barrels of motor oil. He took his tractor, pushed all that brush in there, then poured all that motor oil down there in those caves and set the caves on fire. Now, we waited for these 2 Bigfoot to come back out. They didn't, because these caves went all the way under our property, from our property all the way underground to the LBL. That means there's an entrance to these caves in the LBL somewhere. And we never saw them 2 again. Yeah.
So by him burning the caves, what is that going to do? Because the cave's still going to be open once it
Yeah.
finishes burning.
He did this to burn them out and get them away from us. I mean, oh, that still gives me nightmares.
Yeah.
Then, sometime after that, Amanda and little Sally came in to move in with us because she sold her house to her mom because they never had problems with the Bigfoot ever again. Sorry.
It's okay, everybody. Robert's got a cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Next incident I want to get into, this happened in 1989, a little bit back when Rascal was only 7 foot, and this is also one of the reasons why Rascal hated Bigfoot so much. I call it the cornfield incident. We were planting corn, especially sweet corn in the back of our back cornfields. Now, my grandpa had this uh, corn bin with 3 doors in it. He wanted me to check out the corn bin because he had a whiskey still back there, moonshine. So I'm going back there. Okay, here I go. Rascal's on top of the tractor with Grandpa. I got up to the 3rd door. I don't know if you heard about type of Bigfoot. This is what everyone calls a no-head Bigfoot. This dang thing was dark gray, square teeth, sort of blackish square eyes. He come busting out of that darn corn bin through that 3rd door. That 3rd door hit me in the face. Now right there's a scar right there. If you see that, I still hold the scar where that damn door hit me in the face and split me wide open because that damn Bigfoot ran over me. And it was about 7 foot tall. Yep, Rascal went into a rage. He dove with that. He chased that thing all the way back to the LBL.
And it's
Now,
a no head
what they call a no head, it had a real short neck, but
Yeah.
its head is bent down like that. They're usually seen in West Virginia.
Like it's kind of down here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And anyhow, Rascal chased this thing all the way back to the LBL, caught it in between the 2 fences, and tore it to pieces. In fact, one of Grandpa's friends, who was a forest ranger there at the LBL, turned around and said he heard a commotion. He went over that hill. He said he saw Rascal and this Bigfoot fighting. And Rascal was just ripping into it with his claws and razors and everything. And Rascal came back to us. And there wasn't much left of that Bigfoot because they were having to pick the thing out of both them fences. Rascal came up to me and started licking my face and all that, and my girlfriend had already sewed up my head because I had a couple of stitches here. She numbed up my face and stitches, and she put the patch and stuff over there. And she said, Rascal, be careful. I don't want his stitches going out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, that was something else. And that really hurt.
Mm-hmm. Did Rascal ever speak with words?
Some words, yeah, he could, like baby words, but to me, that shows how intelligent they are.
Mm-hmm.
He could mind speak.
Mm-hmm.
He was telepathic.
Yep. So was it, did everyone in your family, were they able to pick up the telepathy with him, or was it like certain people more than others?
Certain people more than others.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
My grandpa picked up on it,
Mm-hmm.
and so did my sister.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that the three of you are quite gifted? So you've got, you know, abilities
I guess so, yeah.
more than the rest of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, mine came through a dream state with Rascal.
Mm-hmm.
We were like kind of like in a field or something.
Yeah.
We'd start talking.
Right.
I asked him where his people came from.
Mm-hmm.
He said they came from the second earth.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He said underground.
Mm-hmm.
He said there's forest and everything else there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Did he have a name
And
for it?
no,
Mhm.
he just called it their original home world,
Yeah.
which is the second earth,
And
which
how
is
did he come up here? Did he tell you how they all came?
they traveled up here
Mm-hmm.
through the caves and stuff.
Right. And why did they want to come up here?
Hunt fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else did he tell you?
And I asked him, why does his people hate Bigfoot so much? He said, because they are the bad ones, the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
He says they did bad things to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They are the epitome of evil.
Mm-hmm. What else?
And I said, well, what about us?
Mm-hmm.
He says, his people are called Lyrica,
Lurkas.
wolf people of the night, not werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
He says, long ago, when the world was young, his people and our people lived together in peace. I guess until Adam and Eve sinned or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way I can know because he talked about a great garden.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about a higher spirit, which I can only describe as Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
He said they believed in a higher spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when I read the Bible, his big head would be draped over my shoulder and be like his eyes was reading the Bible as I'd be reading it to him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't afraid.
Mm-hmm.
You look at
So
some,
he was saying basically that they were original guardians.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. And probably to, handle all of these cryptids
yeah,
that were being
yeah,
created.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, do you think that the Bigfoot are basically the offspring that came and the hybridization, the genetic hybridization that came from the Nephilim?
Yeah,
Because I
like the
believe they're
women and Nephilim, because the fallen, they came from fallen angels and
right,
women who bred with them.
right. Yeah. Hmm. And I
And
know, mm,
you look at Nebuchadnezzar, and
yes, I
you
was
look
gonna,
at Daniel. See,
mm-hmm.
when he was created, he was turned into a beast. There's your Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does. I was going to say that too. And then, well, you've got Anubis, right?
Yeah,
You've got the god Anubis,
yeah,
in ancient Egypt, and the other
yeah,
pantheon of gods, because I know that they're cat people as well, different
yeah,
from the
yeah,
Lyrians,
yeah.
that
And if
they're
you look at
wood.
Saint Andrew, if you
Mm.
look at Saint Andrew,
Yes,
that's a
yes,
dog man. Yeah, Christian.
yeah,
That's the only cryptid that is Christian.
yeah,
People do not realize this.
yeah. Hmm. Yes, because when you do the research and you look at Saint Andrew, and there's a book written on it from the scriptures,
Yeah,
he had a dog man head, like he was a dog man.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting.
See, to
Although,
me, this is more proof that they were created by God. Dogmen
mhm.
were. They
Well,
had to be.
the original ones, not the other
Yeah,
hybrid
yeah,
ones. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of kinds out there, and I think there's some that have been created by the government.
yeah. That I'll say too.
Mm, yeah.
Ugh.
So did Rascal tell you anything else about like the ancient origins and just was there any other information? No.
Not really, no. Except for that.
Hmm. Oh, that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And well, next thing I want to get into is my encounter with shadow people, which
Ooh.
I
Oh.
keep them in same thing with the damn black-eyed children.
Yeah. Evil. Pure
Yeah.
evil.
Now in back of our property, there's supposed to be a Indian burial ground. To this day I don't know where it is, but Rascal keeps me away from it. It's somewhere along Highway 70. Now, have you ever heard of what's called Bigfoot Outlaws, and they talk about Purgatory Road?
Hmm. Yeah,
Well,
but explain it so everyone can know what you're talking about.
okay, Highway 70, you don't want to go down that thing at certain times of the day or at night.
Hmm.
It makes Purgatory Road look like Romper Room.
Mm.
Not only do you have Bigfoot up around there and other cryptids, you also have spirits and other things that I cannot explain. Now, from 7 a.m. to 12 noon, it's all right to travel that damn thing. But after that, no, not even me and Rascal did.
So from noon, basically from 12 in the afternoon
Yeah, yeah,
until 7 a.m., it's when they all come out.
yeah, basically.
Hmm.
Now, unless you live there, and I know I had a bunch of friends that lived on that highway, so it didn't bother them as much.
Hmm.
Because that Highway 70 goes all the way to the LBL
Mm.
on the
Hmm.
backside, on Kentucky side.
Mm. Does anybody ever go camping in that area?
Nope.
Hmm. So it's just a known fact. You don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So my encounter with the shadow people, ooh, this happened in 1994. I was sleeping in my bedroom with my black cat Stormy laying on the headboard of my bed. All day long, I've been feeling strange and sick to my stomach. And I had these severe headaches. So I laid down on my bed. And then when I woke up, I found out I couldn't speak. When I looked up, there was this black shape with white eyes, no pupils, with his hand reaching down towards me like this. Stormy saw this and knew what it was. He jumped up and did a roar and he clawed this thing. Well, black blood or whatever splattered on the ceiling. All of a sudden, here comes Rascal. He went tearing through the house. He busted through my bedroom door and he saw this thing and he knew what it was. And him and Stormy were taking swipes at this thing. He got on top and covered me, Rascal did, and the fight was on. My dad and grandpa come running, everybody come running to where my bedroom was, and grandpa turned on the light. This thing turned into a black ball of mist and went out my window. And I never saw it again. Here's what dad and grandpa did the next morning. They took Epsom, they took salt, and holy water, went all the way around the house saying the Lord's Prayer. And we never saw that thing again. Now, what this creature wanted with me, I don't know.
Mm.
I just know they're creepy. And my grandfather said they're part of the black eyed people or the black eyed children.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
So the black blood that came of it, well, this is interesting because
Yeah.
uh,
That's
you don't often hear of blood
no,
coming out of these things because
no.
a lot of people have experiences with them, but you don't ever hear
Yeah.
this. So you had that evidence in your house of its blood, right?
Yeah, we cleaned it up. I cleaned
Yeah.
it up. Oh God, it stunk.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. And it didn't communicate anything to you, didn't
No.
no.
I just felt this
Ill.
primal ancient fear.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
I mean, I couldn't. This thing was indescribable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, terrifying.
Yep.
Do you think it's something that can be killed? I mean, it had blood.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say so in its like a solid form, like
Hmm.
when Rascal and Stormy hit it.
Hmm.
But when light comes, it turns into a mist. Don't ask me how it morphs into a mist. It just does, and
Hmm.
boom, it's gone. It's got to be a demon.
Hmm. Or something even a higher level evil
Yeah.
than that. Yeah. Hmm. Wow.
my
Incredible.
first my first experience with a my first experience with I'm gonna say Goat Man.
Oh.
Oh yeah, we all day long, man. Rascal, we're picking corn, and Grandpa been playing jokes on us. Okay, we were picking white corn. We picked up two huge uh duffel bags of white corn,
Mm.
and toward dusk, when it really started getting dark, we were going. Rascal kept turning around, turning around, turning around, like there's someone following us. His eyes would turn red, then it'd go back, normal again, turn around, be red again. It's okay, there's someone following us. I said, Rascal, I'm thinking Grandpa's playing tricks on us. Let's go back. Let's turn around and go all the way back down to the cornfields the way we came, then come back up around the fence line. That's exactly what we did. We got up there at the hill, almost up to the top of the hill. We're following on fence like what stepped out of these cornfields was this 6 to 7 foot yellowish brown haired red eyed goat man. If you ever known if you know what a like a Greek satyr looks like,
Hmm.
that's what these things look like
Hmm.
with three to four fingered hands. Well, this thing must have been into a fight because it had its left horn broken
Mm.
or halfway broke off. Well, this thing looked at us and screamed at us. charged the both of us. Rascal charged at him, that leaped up in the air, and Rascal leaped up in the air with it. He slammed his razors into its stomach, grabbed it by the throat, slammed it face first down on the ground, and broke both its horns off by the force. And of course, me and Rascal, we dropped our huge duffel bags of corn. We went straight home and told Grandpa. Grandpa went back with us that next morning, and the Bigfoot, and it was gone. Something had dragged it through the cornfield.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And what Grandpa told us, that thing was hunting us.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And what weapon would it have? Like, I mean, I would think that a goat man doesn't have as many advantages as the other apex predators,
No.
cryptid predators.
It would seem that to me too, but
Yeah,
they would, I don't know. They were pretty vicious too.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. And it was just the one that was hunting
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next,
Incredible.
I want to get into another cornfield incident. This is in the yellow corn.
Okay, can I just hang on 2 seconds?
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, this is another cornfield incident. This time we ran into a gargoyle, what my grandfather calls a fake dogman, because it had ears between ears.
So
We've
when
been
he
in,
says fake, what does that mean? Does that mean it's a government made creature, or is
no,
that what is
this
that?
creature is so inbred. It's a
Okay.
Bigfoot that's so inbred,
Okay.
you know, because of its ears
Right.
are round and not tapered like a dog or a wolf's like a dog man
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
And this thing had been following me and Rascal because we've been going through picking up whole loads of corn.
Hmm.
And this dang thing decides, and I first saw it because
Mm-hmm.
it's directly behind us. It charged at Rascal. Rascal came at it. And of course, I had my Mini 14 with me. I shot it in the stomach and I shot it in the ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And that shocked it. When it shocked it, Rascal ripped its chest wide open and ripped its heart out, killing it instantly.
Wow.
And of course, me and Rascal dragged it down to the burning pile.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandpa helped us burn it. And he told us to be careful next time because when these cryptids come around our cornfields and stuff, our next door neighbors complain that their cats and dogs are missing. And I'm like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so we were more careful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think the last thing I want to get into, believe it or not, is the break in. This is extremely funny. Of course, our cousin, Jack, who's the sheriff at the time, knew about Rascal too.
Mm.
Well, this is during the late summer. Um, Rascal was laying in the foyer in front of the front door,
Mm-hmm.
staying cool, kind of facing me.
Mm-hmm.
I was programming the satellite dish stuff so the girls could watch satellite TV and all that. They was waiting me to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Grandpa was in the kitchen, sitting in the kitchen, eating a pimento sandwich. Dad was doing something. Can't think of what he was doing. Anyhow, the front door flung open, hit Rascal dead square on the butt. There was this itty bitty, skinny ass dude standing in the damn doorway. Rascal met him nose to nose. When the guy finally figures out what he's looking at, screams his head off like a little girl. When he tries to run, Rascal grabs him by the seat of the pants, and his pants came off, and he was bare assed. No underwear, no nothing. He runs straight up that catalpa tree in front of our house, in the front yard. I'm going like this. The girls are going like this. Rascal's sitting at the bottom of the tree with the pants in his mouth, looking up at the guy. He didn't hurt the guy at all. And Grandpa says, hold on, I'm calling the sheriff." Of course, the neighborhood's laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes the sheriff. He's wanting to show us. He's going to show us his new squad car. Anyhow, he pulls up in that. He sees what's going on. He sees that. He sees the guy in his bare ass.
And
He
the
wants to
sheriff
get
and
the
the
rest.
sheriff was okay with Rascal, right? Like he was
Yeah,
okay
yeah.
with
And
Dogman.
he was just grinning from ear to ear. He stands beside Rascal, snatches him pants out of his hand. He says, "Give me those." And he says, "Robert, take Rascal into the house with you, please." I said, "Okay, come on, Rascal." Rascal gets up, walks by Peter, walks up the stairs, goes into the house with me. The guy is white as a sheet. Finally puts his pants back on. He is white as a sheep because he's been breaking into neighbors' houses and beating them up,
Wow.
robbing them. Well, I think Rascal changed him that day.
Oh yeah,
It
big
was
time.
funny. Yeah, it was funny. He sat down. He sat the boy down in the doggone squad car before he takes off, and he says, "Son, let me tell you something. Around here, we grow guard dogs just like that, and you just walked into the wrong house."
Yeah, most definitely. I don't think he'll be doing
Yeah.
that
No, and from the
around
last
there.
time we heard of him, he turned into a evangelist preacher or something like that.
Oh man. Hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was something else. I'm going, yo, Lord, Lord, Lord.
Yeah. Incredible. So let's see. Rascal was born in 1985.
Yep. March 15th or 17th.
Okay. And he was the runt of the litter.
Yep.
But they processed or they killed the litter
Yeah. And the mother.
and the mother. And why did they do you know why they were told to do that?
Only thing that is explained to them is they were done with the project.
And that was that. Like now you're just gonna
Yep. It's the
and
government for you.
did
This is why
they
I don't trust the government.
well, no kidding. I mean, they're not to be trusted. Period. Period.
No. I don't care if they're Democrat, Republican, or anything
No,
like that.
it's all the same
I
shit.
don't care.
It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
So do you think that they wanted to rescue the other pups too and the mother?
If not the mother, then the rest of the pups. But
But
they could only get Rascal. But they brought Rascals, but they didn't think he was going to live because he was so sick.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. And how did they process the mother and the pups?
They
Do you know?
didn't explain that to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My God. I just get the sense that Rascal's mother was, and I don't know why I get this sense, but I get the sense that she was special.
Yeah. She was Dad's best friend. You might as well say Dogman that he was
Mm-hmm.
assigned to. And
Mm-hmm.
she was very, very gentle.
Ugh. Mm.
Now, Rascal's mate was very gentle too, but she was a type 3, true type 3 dog man, which is the most vicious dog man. And she was
Okay.
female.
So, okay, I just want everyone to know we're going to do a part 2 because
Hmm.
we're going to find out what happened in the remaining years, and we're going to find out
Yeah,
more about Rascal's girlfriend, mate, partner,
yeah,
and all that. I mean, you can start getting into it a little bit. Like, at
yeah,
what age did he go find a mate, and how did he find
yeah.
her?
He went and found the mate in 1995.
Okay, so
Found
he would
her
have been
just before
10,
the early spring.
10 years
Now,
old.
she was light brown,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
definite beautiful female features, which kind of shocked me. And four human-like breasts,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very, I'm gonna say well endowed. I'm not gonna say the size, okay? And she
Mm-hmm.
had a beautiful fox, kind of cross between a fox and a pit bull head. Very, very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
She had the most beautiful green eyes I've ever seen out of a dog man.
Wow.
And
And
when
how?
Rascal got her home one morning, said I was sleeping. I just gotten off work and I was sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Rascal's laying beside me and stuff, and here comes Grandpa. He walks into my bedroom, turns around, looks out my window. He says, "And who is this? Who is this little cutie?" I'm like, Grandpa, what the hell are you talking about? I get up and I looked at, I see this little brown, and I see this brown muzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking over like this. I look out the window, and damn sheepishly, she's looking up at me like that, you know. And that was
Mm.
the prettiest damn female dog man I've ever seen.
And how
And I
tall was
took
she?
her, and I told Rascal, I says, "You got a girlfriend." I says, "Good job, boy." And I hugged him and thing. Grandpa says, "You hugged him." I says, and I looked at Rascal and says, she is going to become part of the family. You do know this, don't you? And he was just wagging his tail. Now, she had a bushy wolf tail like his too.
Mm-hmm.
Now it took her a couple of months to get used to us.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first we fixed up the stable that's in back of the yard
Mm-hmm.
in place of the dog pen. That's where we put for her to sleep. But when she got used to us, and I mean she started living in the house with us.
Mm-hmm.
And she connected it to my sister big time. And I mean big time because she connected telepathically with all of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I found out she was even more vicious and more protective than Rascal was.
And how big was she?
She was only 5 foot, maybe 350, 400 pounds.
Wow.
What
So
she didn't make up, what she didn't make up in strength, she made up for in speed.
she wasn't big at all.
No, Rascal was 9 foot 600, 9.5 foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
Dang near might as well say 10 foot tall. She was about maybe half his size, and she was a full grown adult.
Incredible. And she lived with you guys then for the
Yep,
majority of the time.
yep.
Mm-hmm. And would they go out hunting together and they'd come
Oh
back
yeah, they
home
go out
and
hunting with us.
mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
when we do our usual, me and Rascal do our usual hunts and stuff, she was more like a homebody. She would stay at the house
Mm-hmm.
for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because when me and Rascal went out on patrol and she was there,
Mm-hmm.
and I always wondered, was there any cryptids? See, this is what I was always afraid of. While me and Rascal be out hunting
Mm-hmm.
or, on patrol back
Mm-hmm.
of our homestead, I was always afraid some of those cryptids, like Bigfoots, that would slip up behind us and head straight at the house.
Mm-hmm.
But with her there, There's no chance.
Mm.
But what did happen, what Grandpa told us, he said, "Hey, we had an incident." I said, "What?" Because we were on patrol.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hear nothing, but the woods were dead quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So we got out of there. I got in a truck. We pulled out and we headed down our road. And I went in the driveway. I saw Lucy there in the backyard looking out.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Grandpa, what's wrong?" He said, "I think we had an incident." And he said, "I think there's about two or three of those juvenile Bigfoots making noises, making baby noises." And Lucy went out the front door, walked all the way back to the backyard, and stood there in the open for them to see her. She didn't give a warning bark or nothing. She just stood there to let them see her, and they took off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they were doing the baby noises to try and lure
Yeah,
somebody in,
lure
right?
somebody out. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those baby noises are so creepy.
yeah,
Incredible. So, okay, we're going to continue this and we're going to talk more about what happened consequently for the next few years
yeah.
in part two. But I was going to ask you, what were some of the words that Rascal would use when he did speak?
He would say either mom or dad. He look at me and say dad.
Yeah.
That's the word he used for me, grandpa, and dad. Now, mom, he would use that for my sister, my girlfriend, and mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other words?
I can't pronounce this one word, but it is what he called the Bigfoot.
Mm.
Nihak or
Knee,
something like that.
knee hack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Did he say any other words? Did he ever say, let's go
No.
home? Did he ever
He would
say,
do that in mind speak. I
uh-huh.
mean, he would constantly.
Yeah. What were his favorite foods?
His favorite foods:
Mm-hmm.
potatoes, corn, of course,
Mm-hmm.
all the meats.
Mm-hmm.
But his super favorite was, and I introduced him to this, pineapple.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah,
He loved that.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'd buy a couple of pineapple just for me and
Yeah.
him.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew I had he also knew that I was diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa taught him how to give me a shot if when I went into one of my diabetic seizures.
Mm-hmm.
That happened one time. Rascal got the pen shot, and it was already loaded with the needle, and he just popped the needle up, poof, like that, and went like that.
Wow. Incredible.
But any other time I got sick, he goes straight to my girlfriend and my sister and bring them into where I was sick at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Incredible. All right. Well, we're going to do part two.
Okay.
And where do you want to leave it at before we end this interview?
Well, I want to leave it at we as people, we live in a controlled environment. The woods are their environment. We've got to be careful. I love going out in the woods and just like everybody else, but we also got to be careful and we got to respect them
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not just go in there with a gun and say, "Oh, I'm badass. I got a gun," and blah blah blah. Okay, do you know how to handle the situation with that gun?
No, with cryptids, people for the most part
No,
know.
no,
I don't think most people really realize what's out there, and I think more and more people
no.
are realizing because they're having more and more experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those wise words.
that's why I say always be careful what's out
Mm-hmm.
there. Because
Yeah.
when I was out there with Rascal, I could open up my senses to everything,
Mm-hmm.
and it opened up a whole new world to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every time we cook something like bacon or anything, we'd bury that bacon grease in the ground.
Yeah. Oh my God. That wouldn't, I mean, they would smell that from miles and miles and miles
Oh,
away.
yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. You know what I find interesting? I find it like, I don't mean the, what would you say? I don't mean the monkey Bigfoot or the other type of hybrid Bigfoot, but I mean I think it would be type 1 and 2, where they're more human. It's interesting and fascinating to me that they don't make fire.
Mm. Well, you see, the dogmen don't make fire either, but it's not the saying they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I make a fire, Rascal would throw wood on me, stuff from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently the Bigfoot don't like it. They don't like
No,
fires at all. Yeah.
no.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they're more animalistic.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think, and this is something that I'd like to get into, um, the different types of dogmen, the different types of Bigfoot, because I do think that there are differences, just the same as you're going to get great people, terrible people, different
Yeah.
species, you know, different, just completely different ways of living. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it is really interesting. I think your account is so rare. I don't think very many people get to raise a dogman.
Mm.
You know,
But I'm not saying I'm not the only one, though.
no, I think there's others. I think they haven't come out yet,
Yeah.
with it, but it's still supremely rare. And when you do this kind of
Yeah.
research, there's not many that have come out with this kind of background.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it is absolutely profound.
When people hear my story, a bunch of them cannot wrap around
Yeah.
my experiences.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I totally can understand that. But you know, a lot of these people don't have anything weird happen. When you do have a lot of things weird happen, then you're like, oh yeah, you know?
No.
I mean, I remember being like a teenager and cryptids were coming into the town I lived in. And I mean, it was like in the middle of daylight. And for whatever reason, you know, they were showing up where I was.
Mhm.
Well, okay. So today we're going to leave it here.
Okay.
And we'll do part 2. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been great having you on,
Yeah. It's
Robert.
great being here because I
A-
like to talk about Rascal.
And Rascal sounds
He's been part of my life.
amazing. I mean, Rascal honestly sounds just, this is just, it's so nice to hear of this kind of an account versus the terrible things that I hear with so many people experiencing, you know, horrors that a
Yeah.
lot of dogmen are doing. So it is
Yeah.
really nice to just see the potential for the flip side of this all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see you in part 2.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for being
Uh-huh.
here.
See you later.
We'll see you soon.